I am joined by my first interview of the day, Will Melzer from Moloco. Hello, Will.
Hi, James. Good to be here.
Likewise, we have rocked up after a 3-year gap. It's been awful.
Has it been 3 years?
It really has,
Since the last
Since
live
2019 was the last Helsinki, yeah.
I think I was here for that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And it's been basically far too long. We're happy to be back in this venue. It's one of our favourites, high ceilings and big windows, as opposed to murky basements and hotels.
Yeah, it's lovely.
We like that. So, for folks who may not be familiar with Moloco, what is it that your company does?
So we're a machine learning business, and we apply that to acquiring users that meet our advertiser KPIs ultimately. So profitable user acquisition, mainly across the exchange space. So we apply machine learning across the exchange space. People have been more used to using ML in the owned and operated properties of Facebook and maybe Google. We can leverage our ML and utilize that across the remaining app ecosystem.
I know some people can find that quite a daunting prospect. When you talk about machine learning, I think from the customer side, they can be like, it can seem quite opaque. Because it's like, well, no, the algorithm does the thing and then we see what the results are. How do you sort of explain to people or reassure folks that like, no, we've got a system, it does work, and here's the data to prove it. What do you show folks?
Yeah, it's very opaque, right? And if a seller ever tells you they understand it, they're not being truthful either. And that's really one of the problems. But I think ultimately it's based on performance. And what you'll see is the manner in which you run campaigns and optimize campaigns and how you associate with a machine learning business just needs to change slightly. You have to factor in a bit of time and you have to make gentle adjustments so as not to disturb the algos. But if you work from that, you should bear fruit and really see some great results.
So is the advance of machine learning tech one of the sort of exciting new things that you've been harnessing? Are there other new developments within your sector specifically that have kind of you've taken advantage of or you're looking into?
So I don't think it's a new thing. I think the big winners in our space ultimately offered ML and offered advertisers the chance to leverage ML to grow their business or even create a business. And if you look at what happened with Facebook, there's countless thousands, if not millions of businesses that would not be here without that. I think the new thing with Maloco is that we're really applying that model to the rest of the app ecosystem and enabling advertisers to leverage our ML in a broader space. Now, in terms of new things going on in our industry, obviously we live or die by our philosophy, which is that machine learning will ultimately perform better than human learning. So for us, privacy is a very interesting new development. It's probably not right now to go into, but ultimately the landscape will change. The signals available to any given advertiser and any given campaign will change.
I think people have kind of become more aware that their data is valuable and their data is being sold, and it is one of the major things that kind of drives the industry in a lot of ways, and it has, I think, forced people to become a bit more protective or cautious. Do you feel that?
Well, at the consumer level? Yeah, I think so. And you know, in an environment where there's a paucity of data, we're going to need smarter machines ultimately to make the most out of it. The dust hasn't settled yet. We're still in a transitionary phase, but as and when we get to a sort of more solid footing, we feel that ML will be in a really strong position to help advertisers still acquire users that reach their KPIs. And then I'd also say the other thing that hasn't been done and that we're making inroads into is creative exploration and optimization. So you can apply, and we do this in our campaigns and with our largest clients, like applying our machine learning to understand the performance of the various creative sets that are being uploaded, how best to do that, how best to cycle through creatives, how best to value a creative based on either upper or mid-funnel metrics. And if we can automate and therefore scale that can really help a creative studio or any kind of app developer to maximize the performance of their apps.
And I'm assuming a lot of this automation saves a lot of time and manpower and potentially costs, because things are a bit strange at the moment globally. We just had a pandemic, we're out in a somewhat volatile situation. back home, apparently our Prime Minister's trying to tank the pound. Weird things are going on all over. How are you guys finding the sort of economic situation at the moment? Are you guys weathering it okay?
Yeah, I think, we're in a great space. Traditionally, our industry has proven to be quite resilient. I think partly because, CPMs drop as well, so there always seems to be this balance out in the market, right, for buying and acquisition. However, there are sort of comments that things are changing in a much more fundamental way. I think from the part of Maloco, we've just won, we've been valued at 1.5 billion last summer with our most recent funding round. We've been recruiting some really, really top-level senior leadership in the last sort of quarter or so. We're really trying to focus on using our competitive advantage in this moment to really take leaps and bounds forward. So I guess we're quite lucky at this moment. And again, we also feel in tougher times, a machine learning product-oriented business is well positioned to enjoy a competitive advantage.
When you're interacting with your customers or your clients, what's the thing that they come away with from working with you? If they've come to you looking for a specific service, what's the thing where they're like, right, this is what we wanted and this is what they delivered, this is why we stay with them?
So there's two things. There's the performance, and then there's the human interaction. I'd say the performance end, like we're offering great performance at scale for our clients, and that's wonderful to see. Our client portfolio has increased in EMEA, at least from one when I launched the office in January 2020. I think we've got about 150 clients or so now in EMEA alone, and they all steadily perform at a decent level, some huge, some not so huge, but generally it's a massive portfolio there with ongoing performance. Then I kind of feel like we need to add more than that as a business. And our account managers and our sellers, they've got to be, and they are, I'd say, or I'd hope, I would hope our clients would say they get value from interacting with the team. Right? We are product experts in our own product. I'd like to think also market experts, and we can offer advice on best practice, how best to sort of scale any given app, whatever life stage or life cycle stage a company might be at.
Mm-hmm. And we've mentioned that it's been a bit of a strange couple of years. We're now back at physical events finally. I know you've been at Helsinki before with us. What do you feel is the benefit of coming to physical events versus the endless Zoom meeting system?
So, interestingly, I mean, in the UK, we didn't really care that much, I think, about lockdowns, and everyone battled it hard. So, Maloco's been going to events since probably the beginning of the year. We went to Moby Dictum, the first edition of Moby Dictum. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. Sorry. But it's been great to be there, and it's great to be back at Pocket Gamer, which has been a staple since I joined the industry in like 2012. I think I've been coming to Pocket Gamers, right? I think you used to do one in Amsterdam, which was one of my favourites, so I wish you'd bring it back. But I think what you get at events is, firstly, you get the content that you guys produce. I'll be going to quite a few of the talks. I'll be hosting one later as well. But also the chance to really interact at a deeper level than on a Zoom meeting, understand what's going on, and talk to people in a much more personal way, and understand the challenges that any given client, partner, competitor are facing. And I think it brings together that shared learning moment that it's really hard on Zoom, because okay, you can talk to each other on Zoom, but you can't talk as a group randomly over a coffee on Zoom. And that's the same thing with being in the office. That osmosis of ideas is pretty fundamental.